On this week's program, we love television. And then there's also some television that we don't love so much. And we're going to talk about it tonight. But first, give me the stinger. Okay, full disclosure. I've been telling people falsely that Judas Priest recorded our theme song.
What?
I just can't help it, man, because like the guy singing is actually Brent, but there's a little Rob Halford in there, man. I mean, it's not the but still, I love it. Anyway, it's not actually Judas Priest, you guys. It's Brent, and that's still awesome because he's definitely heavy metal.
It's Wasp.
Welcome to Nerdherfers. I'm Larry Brantley. That's Brent Williams. And, and that guy that you can't see behind the camera is our producer, Chris Hockenberry. And greetings. He does have a microphone now, so there's that. Welcome to the program. Hey, please go out to nerdherfers.com and hit the subscribe button. Also, we're on youtube.com/@nerdherfers. That would be a great place for you to go and subscribe as well.
Yep.
We had some hiccups the last few weeks with the platform that was taking care of our podcast that completely screwed us over for no good reason. So, Brent, where are we with that right now?
We're all up and live. We are on a new provider. I did put the episode on our old provider because we still have an account there.
To say how much we hated them?
Just because it talks about how bad they screwed us over and how much we hate them. So I just wanted everyone who listens on that platform to understand.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, so the good news is...
I'm petty like that.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, I'm 58 years old. I'm petty when I wake up in the morning. So if you happen to listen to this on the Podbean platform, then go get it somewhere else now because, hey, Podbean, that's what we think about you. Anyway, want to say real quick that we are back here this week at our favorite place to record the podcast, Industrial Cigar Company in Frisco, Texas. These guys have been so good to us. They've been so inviting and welcoming. We always have a good time when we're here. If you are anywhere in the North Texas area, please stop by Industrial Cigar Company. Say hello to the guys. Grab yourself a cigar. They've got a full bar here. The staff is fantastic, and you will absolutely love it. And we, again, always appreciate.
Also, they got voted. I saw in the Humidor they were voted best lounge in 2024.
Is that right?
In this area, yeah.
Well, I think we should start a campaign right now to make the best lounge of 2025. What do you say?
They actually were asked not to enter for 2025 because when they
stealing everybody's thunder.
They were to some degree. When they won, it was by such a large margin. They asked them to let another lounge
Could you not compete this year?
Yeah.
That would be great. Thank you so much. Because every year it's just going to be you guys, and
oh my gosh,
that's going to make all the other lounges sad.
Oh my gosh,
it's going to make them sad.
Snowflakes.
Yeah, no kidding, right? That's what happens when you let millennials run a cigar lounge.
There you go. Yeah.
They get their feelings all hurt and stuff. Anyway, we've got some fun stuff to talk about tonight, but the very first thing we have to do is a little thing we like to call Nerd News. That's all the nerd news you didn't even know that you needed to know. And Brent over here at the anchor desk has always got some cool nerd stuff for us. What do you got this week?
Okay, well, I've got a couple AI things, and then I have a non-AI thing. I was trying to... So... all my stories were around AI somehow, so I was kind of like, I have to do one that's not.
Okay.
So
give me two AIs and a grab bag.
All right, I'm gonna start with AI. So ChatGPT is probably the most famous AI.
Yeah.
The most famous.
It's what got my son through college.
So Sam Altman, I love him. He's the CEO of OpenAI, and he just always says the things that are just like. You would think he hates AI and he hates the company the way he talks sometimes.
Maybe he does.
Who knows?
But he's also not immune to money, apparently.
Apparently. I mean, I don't know how this company is worth so much money, apparently. But anyway.
What, but just because of the way he talks about it?
Yeah.
I think there might be a little reverse psychology going on there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But anyway, he says
he's not stupid.
He says that people are too trusting of AI because and that the technology is... one of the areas of technology that you should trust the least, and that's mostly due to a thing called hallucinating. Like if you get in a deep session with AI, it'll start kind of going down these rabbit holes, and it'll just become totally wrong. It'll give you wrong answers and stuff, but it'll be really confident in the answers, even though they're completely wrong. It's kind of like
so you can verify that it's wrong, but it's like, this is absolutely correct.
Yeah, and I love it if you go, that's completely wrong. It'll go, you're absolutely right. That's totally wrong. And that gets back, of course.
I will agree with anything you say.
It's very agreeable. But anyway, yeah. So I just think that's funny because he was giving examples of people like were asking ChatGPT, how do you take care of a newborn baby? And he's like, how the heck did we survive centuries without AI taking care of babies?
Yeah.
And then someone has to come along and go, how do you take care of a baby? Right?
Yeah, that's just lazy.
Yeah.
And I'll bet you, like, I have no evidence to support the claim I'm about to make, but I would be willing to bet you money that the most skeptical generation of AI are Gen Xers.
Oh, yeah.
Because we are the most skeptical of everything.
We don't trust anything.
We don't trust anything or anyone.
That's right.
So, yeah, why, we look, the three of us, two that you can see, one that you can't, we've all got bug out bags in our car. Because we know it's just around the corner. I've said this for years. James Cameron predicted this a long time ago.
Yeah.
I watched The Terminator the other night.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. Yeah. And when it does, I'm not going to try to make friends with the AI. I am just going to go somewhere where it isn't.
Along those lines, one of the stories that I cut was they have come up with a remote-controlled AI robot now. Like you sit in this little chair thing, and you control the AI robot.
So we have avatars now.
Yeah, and I'm like, again, and then the robots start going, puppet don't need strings. And next thing you know, it's turn around
and murdering you
in that chair.
Yeah.
So I don't even trust GPS, much less AI.
Well, I mean, we all don't trust GPS for very good historical reasons.
Yeah.
That just happened to me the other day. GPS was like, go here. And I went there and it's like, rerouting. You just added 20 minutes to your trip. You told me to go here, jackass. All right, what else?
All right, the second one is, so we all know how government and especially military, they love their acronyms, right?
Yeah, speaking as an Army guy.
So anything, they purposefully name things so they can turn it into an acronym, right?
Yep.
So anyway, DARPA, which is the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, they've done this really cool thing where so a few years ago, they beamed a laser a little bit over a mile, and it had about 200 watts of energy in it. So now they've gotten it up to like 5.3 miles with 800 watts of energy. So the applications that are actually pretty cool because,
Can you give me some examples of applications?
So like if like say you have a space station and it needs energy or something, you can beam that energy up there now. Or, I mean, I'm sure they're doing it because in the battlefield they can beam energy to things they need. And eventually it's going to be an energy weapon. I mean,
oh yeah.
Next thing you know, we have turbo lasers. And
I mean, if those don't already exist, they're around the corner.
Yeah.
Man.
So anyway, it's pretty cool. But what I thought was really interesting is this is a concept that Nikola Tesla started back in 1901. He built this tower. It was 187 feet tall. It was on Long Island, and it was going to be the first in a worldwide network of what he called the worldwide wireless.
Did you ever think that Tesla was beamed here from a different planet?
Maybe. I think maybe he's an interdimensional being.
Possibly. Yeah. Like the Fantastic Four are going to be in the new Avengers Doomsday?
Yeah.
And he just got here and was like, what the hell, guys?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah. So
anyway. We're working on steam engines? What are we doing here?
Okay, and this is the part of how AI should be used. So there was a guy, he has ALS and he can no longer speak. Mm-hmm. And so researchers have used AI they hooked electrodes up to his brain and they've trained AI to use his voice, but now he can, when he thinks thoughts, they get turned into words. So he can talk now.
And you said he has ALS?
Yeah.
I've seen this guy.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name, but I know he's a Houston Astros fan because I saw him at a Houston Astros baseball game. Yeah. They were interviewing him. And it was because it was just a few weeks ago when they were celebrating Lou Gehrig.
Okay.
So it was like the whole ALS thing.
Right. Yeah.
And they were interviewing this guy, and I watched him use that technology in the live interview. So in real time, he can't move anymore. Yeah. He can't speak anymore. But somehow he was conducting an interview.
Yeah, well, they put electrodes in his brains and it converts the thoughts.
It was amazing.
Yeah. Converts
and I think part of it is something goes on in his cranium, and then a list of words shows up on the screen in front of him, and he looks at the word he wants to say.
Okay.
But he does it like super fast, and it just forms sentences.
That's kind of how Hawking's thing worked, but he got speak and spell voice.
He did. He did. Well, oh no. What was the joke you told us pre-show that guy's his first sentence should have been?
His first sentence should have been "Suck it, Hawking."
Suck it, Hawking.
Suck it, Hawking.
That would have been awesome. Well, that was a really good, interesting episode of Nerd News. Listen, don't make friends with AI. Just get off the grid. All right? There are plenty of movies that show you how it's done. All right? That's all I'm saying. Okay. Here's what we're doing tonight. We are, as always, going to review a bottle of whiskey. We're going to review a cigar, and we're going to talk about some nerd shit. Now, this is the bottle we're reviewing tonight. And as you can see, we decided to pregame a little bit.
Oh, my goodness.
And so we have already, 3 of us have already killed half of this bottle. But we are still going to tell you about it because it's really good and you should try it. Brent, let's talk about what we're drinking here.
The Dalmore 12 year.
Yes, indeed.
Which is probably one of the staple scotches. Extremely smooth, very tasty. It's interesting how it's made, though, because they age it for 9 years in an American oak cask, and then they split it and age part of it, the remaining time, in Oloroso sherry casks,
Yes.
and then they blend it back together before bottling. And man, it is just a it's a good dram.
It's a very good dram. Now, a lot of you may not know, but the Dalmore is a Highland Scotch, but not a Speyside Scotch. You've heard us talk about Speyside before. So Speyside is a little region in the north of Scotland where most of the distilleries are. I don't know why I'm doing this in a Scottish accent. I should stop. But if you literally drive an hour and a half north of the Speyside region, you'll get to a little town called Inverness, and that is where the Dalmore is. It is on my bucket list of places I want to visit. Also, having watched the Grand Tour, it is one hell of a beautiful drive.
Yeah.
And so, since we've already opened this up and are drinking it, let's just talk about what we're getting out of this. So for me,
Yeah, when we nosed it, we were getting a little melon.
yes, for sure melon, and I'm getting a little toasty oak as well.
Yeah, and it's that way on the mouth too. The melon really comes out on the
Oh my gosh, the mouthfeel on this is so good because it's got like silky.
Yeah, I was gonna say silky, not creamy. Silky.
No, silky. Creamy leaves something.
Yeah, no, this is
silky is just
silky.
like, we're done.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah.
It's very sexy. Well, I think I've got us a cigar that's going to pair very nicely with this. So we have reviewed Definition cigars on this program before. Jamon Hackley is one hell of a cigar manufacturer. This is one of his line. This is called the... oh, good heavens. I can't believe I just blanked on what this is
The
called.
919 or something.
Is it the 919? Let's find out.
It's the Habano Lancero.
Or is it the 619?
The Habano Lancero.
I know.
You know what I love about these?
So unprofessional.
You know what I love about Definition cigars? I love the bands.
919. Oh, yeah.
Because they're so practical because you either have a nice little ring
Yeah.
when you're done or a hair tie.
Or hair tie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the DC 919 Habano Lancero. Now, if you guys have never smoked a Lancero cigar before, mention text. Oh yeah, I did. I did get a text from Jamon earlier because I told him we were reviewing his cigar tonight, and this is, I think, the second or maybe even the third cigar of his that we reviewed.
Yeah, at least the third.
And he everything he does to me is in all caps. It's like, "Hi, Larry. Thank you for the highlight, my friend. Can't wait to see it." And I'm like, "Have you ever met the guy? We've interviewed him on the program.
He's so laid back.
He's so laid back." So he's clearly doing that for my benefit. Like, he doesn't actually talk like that, but he's obviously very enthusiastic, and we are enthusiastic about this cigar. So Brent has been cutting his cigar while I was talking. So I'm going to
I'm sorry, is that rude in some way?
Well, I don't know. In some cultures, maybe.
I don't think so.
But let's just do this here. Okay, cold draw time.
But it's got a closed foot. But you can still get a decent cold draw out of it.
Surprisingly, yeah.
Chocolate for sure.
Espresso bean.
Chocolate. Toasty marshmallow for me.
Add that to that, and then it's like a s'more almost. But a little earthier than a s'more. All right, I'm lighting. I'm not playing around. I'm
Less
lighting.
talky,
Let's
more
go.
lighty.
Less talky, more smoky. Wow. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Right
Ooh.
away,
Yeah. It's just like a blast of milk chocolate.
there's
when you
a
light it.
depth there
Yeah.
that I was not expecting. By the way, a lot of guys in the cigar world sort of poo-poo the Lancero because they think it looks effeminate because it's long and slender. Furthest thing from the truth, if you're an actual cigar lover and you have a good wrapper on this cigar, which this one definitely is, it's an Ecuadorian Habano, you're getting mostly the wrapper on this. There is some Nicaraguan binder and filler, obviously, but Jamon does not disclose On this cigar, at least, he doesn't disclose anything except the wrapper that's on it, and then he's never disclosed who actually makes his cigars. And I'm becoming more and more interested in who makes his cigars because the construction is always super solid and super consistent.
You should text him back in all caps. Hey, Jamon, who makes your cigars?
He would politely tell me to go jump off a cliff.
Yeah. So the Ecuadorian Habano, a.k.a. the Ecuadano.
The Ecuadano, yeah. I'm going to have to coin that word.
Yep. Copyright 2025.
Nerdherfers. Oh, I'm getting something. I'm getting something deeper now. It's almost like an earthy sort of.
So there's a little bit of pepper on the back of that.
Now I got it on the retro.
Yeah.
I got it on the retro.
I'm getting
hill.
it on the back of the tongue though.
Okay.
Just a smidge.
So good though.
Yeah.
Now let's do the thing that Hawk loves to do, which is let's have a drinky and then a pull on the cigar.
Oh, that is so good.
Silky. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's a really good pairing. You're getting sweet and silky from the Scotch, and then you're getting earthy toasty from the cigar.
Oh yeah.
And you put those together, and that's just a little bit of heaven, my friend.
Oh my goodness, that is so good.
I love that. Okay. So again, we are at Industrial Cigar Company this evening. We have got the Definition 919 Habano Lancero. We're drinking, clearly, the Dalmore 12, which is the original single malt that they started with. They have not changed this recipe since the Dalmore has been a distillery, which is kind of cool. Also, we've had several, I personally have had several of the Dalmore line. It's a Scotch. It's a single malt Scotch you cannot go wrong with, so try it. All right, let's talk about the subject this evening. Now, we are all of us here Gen Xers, which means essentially that we were raised on television. Television was my babysitter, going as far back as the 70s, when nowadays my parents would be getting visits from CPS for how often they left me alone in front of the TV.
Right.
But what we're going to do...
Nowadays it's iPads.
That's true.
The screen just
and
got
you can
smaller.
take them with you.
Yeah.
But what we're going to do tonight is we're going to talk about 3 TV shows that we wish were still around, and then 3 TV shows that we're either glad they went away or they're still around and they probably need to go.
Yeah.
But let's start with the good stuff. Let's start with our nostalgia and our childhood. I'm going to throw it to you and ask you, what is a TV show? No particular order. And by the way, everyone who's watched this podcast more than once already knows what your first answer is going to be.
Yeah. Well, you guys know what my first answer is going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be Firefly.
Firefly, for sure. Yeah.
So it seems like I'm saying this every other episode. I still have not watched Firefly, the series, even though it's only one
so
season.
The reason we haven't done a Firefly episode
is because I have,
right here.
me. It's all my fault. I totally own that. But what I would like to know from you is why you would still want that series to be around.
Well, because it was just good stories. Great characters. I mean, basically a star-studded cast. Nathan Fillion, Alan Tudyk, Gina Torres, Summer Glau. One of the...
she wound up being like the super being, right?
Kind of. Wasn't a super being. She's more like an assassin type.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Like hidden assassin, like, Manchurian Candidate type thing. And then one of the... what's his name? I can't think of the name. The brothers that are famous in Hollywood. Stephen Baldwin, one of the Baldwin brothers.
Oh, one of the Baldwin brothers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember which one.
And then there was also the guy, he's not a Baldwin, but he's a character actor, and I've seen him in so much sci-fi stuff. Like I remember him in Independence Day. He played an Air Force major. Oh my gosh. What is his name? I'm so blanking right now.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Hawk, what are you doing? You're not on your phone yet. I don't get it.
Yeah, Firefly cast. Actually, you know what?
Also, the Barney Miller guy was in there. He played Shepard Book.
What? Oh, the African American guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hang on. Fire.
But anyway, it was just great. It was a great story. All the sci-fi junk, the the ships, the planets, all that kind of stuff. It was all just ancillary stuff.
Oh my God! It was Adam Baldwin.
Adam Baldwin.
I didn't
Thank
realize
you.
he was a Baldwin
Yeah,
brother.
he played Jane. Yeah.
He played Jane Cobb.
Yeah, Jane
yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Which, by the way, side story. So I have this really cool little mashup I did. So one year, Alan Tudyk and Nathan Fillion were at Comic-Con or Fan Expo.
I know this story. I love this story.
And so I was actually working that con. I think it was one of the ones where Micah got me the job there. And so anyway, my con day came where I could just go and participate. And we had a photo op with Alan Tudyk and Nathan Fillion. And so my wife made Jewel State. How can I forget Jewel State? She made a Kaylee Morena Baccarin. Yeah. Holy goodness.
Oh my gosh, I forgot she was on that show. Yeah.
Inara. Yeah. Anyway, so she made a Kaylee outfit with the jumper and the teddy bear patches and all that kind of stuff. And I made a mashup because my two favorite characters on that show were Wash and Jane, right? And Wash always wore the Hawaiian shirts, and he played with the little dinosaurs and stuff. And Jane was the militant guy. And Jane got that in one episode. He gets mail and he gets this knit cap, that they all think looks ridiculous. So somebody bought that for me, that knit cap. So I put together a mashup called Wayne. Wayne. And so I had the Hawaiian shirt, I had the gaiters and the boots. I had my holster, but in the holster I had the dinosaurs.
Nice.
I had the knit cap. I had the shirt that Jane wears in that episode where he gets the cap. And so we had the photo op with Alan Tudyk and Nathan Fillion. And I walked in and Alan Tudyk just goes, brilliant. I was just like, that's all the validation I need. My life is complete. I'm good.
He got it immediately.
Yeah, he did.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. So anyway.
New character Wayne.
Yeah. So, yeah. No, I mean, it was just a brilliant show. So, it's one of those shows that the storytelling is so good. Like I said, all the other stuff is ancillary, the sci-fi, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's the character development, it's the story arcs, it's the individual stories of the people in there. Like, everybody on that ship had their own story, and it got explored to some extent in the series and then more in the movie. It was just, it was just an amazing show. And I'm so sad, Fox ruined it the way they did it because they played it out of order. So they started off with the train job, right? So the first episode, you watch it and you're like, I feel like I'm in the middle of something, right? And so you don't really know what's going on. You don't know the character backstories, and there's a history, and you're just kind of confused. And so it didn't really take off because people couldn't grasp it, right? And it's one of those shows that it became, got a cult following basically after it was canceled.
Yeah.
And got a resurgence after that. And the fans, he made the movie because of the fans.
Yeah.
And man, it's just brilliant. And I just wish it could have kept going. And everyone on that show will tell you the same. Like, I follow Jewel State and Nathan Fillion and Alan Tudyk, all those guys, Morena Baccarin, and they'll all tell you they wish that show. They only filmed for like 6 months.
Oh,
and they're
wow.
just like, they all feel like that's the one that got away.
Yeah. and it had nothing to do with the production. It had everything to do with distribution.
Exactly.
Train Job was filmed after they'd filmed the first 7 or 8 episodes, and Fox decided that it wasn't action enough the first episode and made them film Train Job.
Again?
No. That Fox came to them and said, write a new episode that has much more action to introduce the show to the audience. And so episode 1, which is...
I'm going to start my cigar.
Episode 1, which is introduces all the characters, actually didn't air until near the end of the season.
Yeah.
It aired number 10.
Yeah, it was kind of like a look back type thing, the way they did it. Yeah. It was dumb. They messed it up.
Some of the other side actors that are great in there, right? Greg Henry, another big guy in the industry. Michael Fairman. Both those played ancillary characters in episodes. So it's a great cast. Great cast.
Well, I say this to you every time, but I am going to eventually watch it, and I'm going to surprise you. I'm going to text you guys at 3 o'clock in the morning going, just finished Firefly, moving on to Serenity. Let's be prepared to talk about it.
All right.
If my first show that I would pick that I wish was still around might surprise you, but it was Miami Vice.
Oh, yeah.
So Miami Vice ran for 5 seasons on NBC. If you were alive in the 80s, you know this show.
Yeah.
Crockett and Tubbs or Miami.
The Testarossa.
Yeah, the Testarossa. Miami. Crockett and Tubbs. Crockett lives on a boat with his pet gator Elvis, and Tubbs is sort of like the Mr. Tibbs character. Feels like he's always trying to prove himself, but super handy in a fight.
With a horrible Jamaican accent.
Horrible. So bad.
That's one thing he couldn't do.
No, let's I don't know why they made that choice, but maybe stop that. But I love the show at the time in the 80s because it was a product of its time. The 80s were very, by the way, that was our producer dropping stuff. He does that a lot. So
I do want to point out we're halfway into that bottle, so you may hear a lot of dropping.
Yeah, you are going to hear. You're going to hear more of that, and more of our producer going, hey, I got something to say. I love you guys. Anyway, Miami Vice. It was a product of its time, right? It was the 80s. It was garish. It was big. It was loud. There was the whole Miami sort of stereotype of clubs and loud music and drug dealers and garish everything. Everything was over the top.
Yeah.
Always reminds me of like a great novel if you never read it, The Bonfire of the Vanities by Tom Wolfe. Great.
Horrible movie,
but a great book. And it was basically about the excess of the 80s and all that. Now, the reason I argue this show could have gone on is because the city of Miami is one of the main stars of the show.
Yeah.
And times change, fashions change, predicaments change. It would have been fascinating to see how that show changed with the times and with the city. And also, Michael Mann produced that show, and he is a freaking genius. Yeah. I don't know if you remember a movie that he did while he was doing Miami Vice. He did a feature film called Band of the Hand, starring Stephen Lang and a few other guys who actually went on to have careers in Hollywood. And it was, again, it all comes back to the storytelling, right? It all comes back to the storytelling. And I thought the storytelling in that show was fantastic. I would love to have seen how it evolved. Like I could envision a situation where after a few more seasons, Crockett and Tubbs are getting ready to retire. Maybe one of them wants out, and now they've got to train the new upstarts that are going to take their place. And of course, their captain never wants to know what they're teaching them, or whatever. Right. And like maybe do a season or two of them eventually taking over the mantle, and now it's the new thing. The reason that I think that is because starting in the mid to late '90s, we saw a film series called Bad Boys come out with Will Smith and Martin. Help me out, Martin, yeah, that was the name of his show, Martin. Right. But times had clearly changed. It wasn't the garish 80s anymore, right? It was a little grittier. You still had the glitz and glamour of Miami, but it was just sort of, the city was different. And I would love to have, it was one of the first shows that I ever watched where the city was a major character. Yeah. Because the rhythms of the city, the beats of the city, what goes on in the city, all of that was a major character. And it would have been interesting to me to see, I could easily have watched that as it moved into the 90s and even into the 2000s. Yeah. So, Michael Mann, if you're listening, and you're not, I know.
We're here for you.
We're here for you. All right, so what's another one that you wish was still around? And look, there's no rhyme or reason for why we think these shows should still be on the air. It could be pure nostalgia. Yeah. It could be I loved it as a kid. Or in the case that I just did, because I think this could go on, and here's how I think it could do it. Yeah. What's another one for you?
So my second one's just more of a sentimental choice. So my dad and I had a couple of shows that we loved to watch together, and one of those was Beretta.
Robert Blake.
Yeah.
Let's go. I used to watch that show with my dad.
The Cockatoo.
Yeah, Fred the Cockatoo.
Cockatoo, yeah. We just love that show. And then, of course, Starsky and Hutch. I think I mentioned one show. He bought a Gran Torino. He didn't get a red one with the mag wheels, but he bought a Gran Torino because of that show.
Well, I'm sorry, but he did it wrong.
He did. Well, my dad was a little more conservative and laid back. He wasn't, he wasn't the red Gran Torino.
But both of those shows aired in the 70s. Mm-hmm. And what I loved about those cop and private investigator shows in the 70s was they were a little grittier. Yeah. Like you mentioned Starsky and Hutch. Here's the thing I loved about Starsky and Hutch that for me set it up. I was 8 when that show came out, or 9 maybe. And I'd watched cop shows before then. I'd watched Dragnet. Yeah. And I'd watched Ironsides and Adam 12. And all the cops are very stuffy and by the book and straight-laced, and they never show feelings or emotions.
Their uniforms are perfect.
Their uniforms are perfect, right? Like it just wasn't like they were not characters that I could relate to, except in and of the fact that they were authority figures, and my dad was my authority figure and always taught me to respect authority. But then Starsky and Hutch came out, and it was the first time. It was the first buddy cop show that I like. They may have started the genre, right? Because for a couple of reasons. Number one, they were again products of their time. So I think it was Aaron Spelling who actually produced that show, and if you know that name at all, he did so much TV in the 70s, 80s, and even in the 90s. Yeah. But those characters were relatable. They were real guys with real problems, and they looked out for each other because they're partners. It wasn't just okay, good job today, I'll see you tomorrow. In the first season of that show, there's actually an episode where the mob captures Hutch and deliberately addicts him to heroin. And Starsky and another character that was a regular on the show, played by Antonio Fargas, called Huggy Bear, they have to dry him out. Yeah. And nobody had ever done anything like that on TV before. Right. Like you couldn't even get past the censors with that shit. And so that's what was appealing to me. And there was a lot of action in that show. Yeah. A lot of action. One of my favorite stories from that show that Paul Michael Glaser, who played Dave Starsky, used to tell. By the way, he went on to have an excellent directing career. Yeah. He directed a lot of really good movies. Yeah. Was that the first season of that show, they were in a Gran Torino that had a bench front seat. Yeah. And of course, back then, nobody wore seat belts. Yeah. So whenever, and Dave was doing a lot of the driving because they would have a camera mounted on the hood. Yeah. And they were doing this back and forth swinging drive. So you would see David Soul, Hutch's character, just slide back and forth, smashing up against Paul Michael Glaser and then backing and slamming into the door. The second season,
bucket seats.
They got bucket seats because he was tired of looking like a goofball.
And talk about Aaron Spelling. That dude is so prolific. People don't realize how much TV that guy has made.
Yeah.
And he was so good at it. They actually brought him out of retirement. And for the younger people, that's Tori Spelling's dad. Mm-hmm. But he actually has a development deal, and I forgot who it's with, what company. Maybe it's ABC. I don't know. He actually has a development deal that will take him past his hundreds. Like he'll be like 101 before the development deal is done.
He's going to be the Anthony Gaudí of television,
right? I mean, just
like he will create stuff that he knows
he'll never
not see in his lifetime.
Yeah.
But it'll probably be good television.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
So Beretta, Robert Blake, I love. So my dad and I had a couple shows that we watched together. That was one of them. The other one was Rockford Files, which I didn't like as much.
I wasn't into that.
I was never a big James Garner fan. Like I never knew what his appeal was as an actor, and it was always like Rockford Files was a little goofy for me, and a little like, they could wrap everything up in 45 minutes.
Yeah,
that never really particularly.
Yeah. There's another show along those lines that my uncle loved. It was called Cannon.
Oh, William Conrad. Big William Conrad.
Yeah. Little mustache, big body. Yeah.
Dude always looked like he was about to have a heart attack. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, tell me a scene of
that show.
Always
he would always act like that. Like he had no emotions whatsoever. He was just always like, this person's guilty. Yeah, right. I mean, it was hilarious. Yeah.
Cannon. That's right. Cannon with two N's.
My uncle loved that show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Driving around his Good Times van.
Do you remember FBI?
Oh, yeah.
There was a guy with three names. I can't remember who it was as an actor. But I remember it was so funny because my daughter and I, the first Tarantino film I ever took her to see was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And there's a scene in that movie where Leonardo DiCaprio's character, he plays an actor, does a guest shot on FBI. And when that came up, I was like, oh my God. And I looked over at her and I'm like, my dad and I used to watch this show. And she goes, was he on it? I'm like, no, honey, Leo DiCaprio wasn't born when this show was. Yeah, he's playing. It's
I remember the intro. The intro of that show looks like the copyright notice that you see.
It does, like the anti-piracy thing. Yeah, it does. In fact, I think that's where they got that from. Probably. That was a great one. Shall we talk about the first third of the cigar, because I'm enjoying the hell out of this.
Yeah, I've been putting it down so I don't smoke it so fast, but it keeps going out, so I'm going to keep smoking.
Well, that's the thing about a Lancero. It's got a tight, short burn, right? Yeah. So if you put it down too long, it will go out on you.
I was just trying not to burn through it too fast.
But so this is mellowed out for me. Like, it was fairly mellow to begin with. and not mild. It's a medium to full smoke in terms of body for sure. But I'm not getting any pepper right now.
I'm not either, even on the retrohale. Yeah.
Still got that good espresso bean.
Yep.
Still got that toasty sort of mouthfeel to it.
It's like toasty marshmallow for me.
Like s'more?
Like it's s'more.
S'more?
A little bit of chocolate. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So good.
Jamon, you are the man. Okay, what's another show that you wish was still around?
Well, I mean, Miami Vice was my third one.
Are we up to 3 already?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So,
But we've talked about some other ones. Come on, I bet you can think of one.
I mean, there's tons.
I don't want tons, just one.
Oh my gosh.
How about I go and give you time to think about it?
Okay.
Wait, how many have I done?
I think you've just done one, and I've done two.
Okay, I don't know how that happened.
I think it's your turn anyway.
I don't know how
Oh,
that
it is your
happened.
turn because we start off with Beretta, Starsky, and Hutch, and then you went off on all the other cop shows.
Well, I said Miami Vice.
That was your first one.
So there was a show in the 80s that only lasted 2 seasons, but I loved it. And while it was on the air, I came up with a 10-season arc that, had they listened to my young ass, I think would have been
You could have saved them.
fantastic.
Yeah.
It was the TV show called V.
Oh yeah.
The one where
The lizard people.
it was an insidious invasion by people when they came down from the skies, looked just like us, except they were wearing red and black uniforms, which was oddly fascistly suspicious. Mm-hmm. And then we find out later they're lizard creatures.
Right.
And the show wrapped up after only 2 seasons. My idea was that at the end of the second season, the rebellion fails. And it didn't fail from lack of trying. It failed because the majority of the world's populace was just apathetic about it. Like, they had already learned that the visitors were here, and they were like, well, it's not really impacting me that much.
Right.
Except for the whole fact we're your food. Whatever. And so, like, you know, so that would have been the start of my greater arc. So that the rebellion fails, a few people survive, they have to go deep underground, they've got no support from the rest of humanity, and now they have to figure it all out, right? Now, there was that one character in V, I think it was Robert Englund. Who played the sympathizer.
Like the collaborator guy.
Yes. The collabor lizard. You know, and eventually this would have all, and here's why I think that, because as I was thinking through, okay, what are the shows that I want to stick around and the ones I want to go away, I come back to Andor.
Yeah.
And how brilliantly those 2 seasons were written, and how, even though they had to stretch what to us cinematically was a very short time, they managed to tell all these wonderful human stories of everything that led up to the moment where we get to Rogue One, where they get the plans for the Death Star and they sacrifice themselves or whatever. Oh, excuse me. That is brilliant storytelling.
Yeah.
You get invested in these characters. And even though, and I said this to myself at the beginning of the first season of Andor, I know how it's going to turn out.
Right.
But still I'm going, but maybe he'll make it. It's like if you were watching Titanic, James Cameron's Titanic.
Yeah.
You know how that's going down.
Yeah.
But maybe maybe they'll be okay.
Why don't you have
There was
some
room on the door.
You know what?
some Dalmore
I
there?
need to have a little scotch.
There was room on the door.
There was room on the door. She hogged that freaking thing.
It's one of those 2 cinematic things we always say. Han shot first. There was room on the door.
He actually did shoot first.
Yeah. And only shot.
Yeah. I mean, when they came out with
That is literally the
redos.
worst edit
Yeah.
of any film anywhere.
Because
at
literally,
any
Greedo's
time.
sitting 3 feet from the guy and he shoots over here. It's
Yeah.
so funny.
Yeah, that was terrible.
They could have at least winged him.
But that's sort of how I felt about V, is that there was a lot more story to be told. And so I could have easily pulled that out for 10 seasons, but unfortunately, they didn't ask me. We're going to have to refill our producer here because if he's actually still got some scotch in his glass. I see how it is.
Well, that's a miracle.
Oh, I get it. That's fine.
I love when you're half a bottle in. There's no such thing as subtle. Like you can't just set a bottle down. It's like slam.
Yeah, we're fine. Okay, so did you accidentally do your 3 that you wanted to keep going? Well, you and I picked the same one, Miami Vice.
Yeah, that's my third.
I've got another one. If you don't have another one,
yeah, sure, go ahead.
The X-Files.
Yeah, that was a great show.
Dude, it was a great show. And here's how I know it was a great show. It ran for 9 seasons. Then there was a bit of a break, and then they sort of did 2 partial seasons after that, 10 and 11, 2 feature films. So clearly there was still an interest, and clearly they were never going to run out of source material, right? This is how I know it was a good series. 9 regular seasons. They did 2 sort of abbreviated seasons, and then 2 feature films. Right. There was clearly an interest there. There was always going to be. They were never going to run out of source material because the whole thing, like the whole first season, was things from popular culture that were conspiracy theories that we all knew about, right? So that was the hook,
right?
And then you had the great chemistry between Dave Duchovny and Gillian Anderson.
Yeah,
like that never got old.
Yeah,
you know, he's the guy who wants to believe. She's the scientific skeptic.
Yeah,
and you know, I think you mentioned this before. Like there were times when it seemed like, oh, she's going to be a believer now, but
she can't explain something. So then you go, well, she's going to start believing because she can't explain it. But then she was just like,
she would shut it down.
Next episode, she's like, nope, back to skeptic. Yeah.
So, you know,
David Duchovny was all of us.
Oh yeah,
right. He was an intelligent guy, but he was also open to believing. And you know, secretly, you watch that show because deep down inside, no matter what you put out there, deep down inside, you wanted to believe that stuff. Right.
Well, when I was a kid, definitely.
And some of the first season episodes were based on real FBI investigations that had come out.
Right.
I wanted to believe in Sasquatch. I wanted to believe in the Loch Ness Monster.
Yep.
You know, I wanted to believe in aliens. So,
I still believe in aliens.
Do you now? Do you?
I don't know. Some days I'd like to because I can't explain some human behavior.
Well,
and I'd just like to go. That's just because they're not from here.
Yeah, they're not from here. Elvis is dead. Nope, he just went home.
That's right.
Yeah, I love that show. And
I got a great story about that.
Oh, do tell.
So in the 90s, I was working in this office in South Florida, and there was this gay guy there, and our connection was the X-Files. We both loved it. We were both just, and so you know, every day in the office we're talking about X-Files and stuff. We'd go to lunch and whatever, and he kind of developed a little bit of a crush. And so we did Secret Santa for Christmas.
Hang on you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, this is back when I you know, I'm 30 pounds lighter and I've got like highlights in my hair and frosting.
Yeah.
Young
Brent.
I actually got hit on all the time when I was in Cancun.
My man.
It's pretty funny. Also, I went to gay bars in Cancun. So
those are the best bars to go to.
They are. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah. My father-in-law owned one, and we would go there to pregame, and that was the funnest place in town.
So much fun. Yes.
Funnest place in town. Anyway, yeah, so I found out that he switched with someone to get me for Secret Santa, and he bought me the complete VHS set of X-Files.
Get out of town.
Yeah.
That's that's generous.
Yeah.
And was there any reciprocation? I'm just curious.
I was married.
Oh, okay. Let's use that.
And
excuse.
I wasn't pretending married. I was actually.
I wasn't pretend married. I was for real married.
Yeah.
Didn't last, but I was for real married. Okay, so we've now talked about each of us 3 shows that we love.
Oh, there's one more.
Is there?
Friends.
Oh my gosh.
So another great story. So I was living in Cancun when the first 2 seasons came out, and so we watched them. It was called Amigos down there, and yeah, that was a hard sell, right? Amigos.
That makes sense.
But we watched
Amigos.
it. So we loved the show. So when I lived in Cancun, we had literally 4 hours of television a night when we first got there. This is in 93.
You guys would watch 4 hours of television a night?
That's all we had. That's it.
Oh, that was all there was.
Yes, it was. It was 4 sitcoms and then a movie.
Okay.
If soccer wasn't on, on, I mean football. If football wasn't on, then we got to watch that. If football was on, forget it.
Yeah.
But it was so the the lineup was Supercampeones, which was a Japanese anime about soccer, and it's one of those where they could make a soccer game last for like 5 or 6 episodes.
Right.
You know, because of all the exposition and stuff.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
crazy. And, non-linear storytelling and all that kind of stuff. So Supercampeones, Dinosaurios, which was dinosaurs. You remember that old Jim Henson show, The Dinosaur?
Oh,
Dinosaurs?
yeah.
No la mama.
It was like the
Great.
Flintstones, but with Muppets. Yeah.
And then we'd either get a couple more. It switched between either a couple more sitcoms or like a 1 hour show. So for a while it was Friends. Let's see, it was Supercampeones. Oh, Caballeros del Zodiaco, which was Knights of the Zodiac, which was another anime. So we'd get those 2 animes. We'd get Dinosaur and we get Friends, right?
Okay.
But sometimes they always did the 2 animes because the soccer anime was never going to go away.
All right.
But sometimes we would get an hour of Los Misterios Archivos X, which is X-Files.
Oh.
Yeah. So
The
we got that-
Mysterious X-Files.
Yeah. So we got those in Spanish too. But anyway, so we watched the first 2 seasons of Friends in Spanish. So when we moved back to the States, we're watching Friends. We're like, that's not what they sound like. Those aren't the right voices.
So they didn't do the English subtitles. You just watched
No,
them in Spanish.
It was
with
dubbed in
with
Spanish.
the dubs.
Yeah, dubbed in Spanish.
So it was a little shock to you to find out that they actually were Americans who had American voices.
It was just weird after watching them for 2 years like that,
Yeah.
and then come home. And, even their real voices didn't even sound natural to us. It was so funny.
So if you go ahead.
I want to throw in a more recent one. Is The Wheel of Time. It's a heartbreaking.
Oh
recently.
yeah. We talked about that. So that was a series on Amazon that was based on the Robert Jordan books, right? And what did we get at? 3 seasons? Did we get 3?
3 seasons.
3 seasons.
And they announced right after the 3rd season dropped that they would not be making any more of them, which is a damn shame because it was a really good show.
I think they're just pouring money into some other series because
They
they have
definitely
Rings
are.
of Power, which is definitely their
Yes.
number one thing.
Uh-huh.
And then Henry Cavill's got a series that's coming to Amazon, I believe. It's either, I don't know if it's the Warhammer or if it's the Voltron. Maybe Voltron's the movie. He has several. He's got Highlander. He's got Voltron. He's got Warhammer.
Highlander.
Yeah, and one of them's coming to Amazon. So I bet that's where they're rerouting some funds.
Please
over
stop remaking stuff that doesn't need to be remade.
there. You know, I mean, Highlander's great though. I mean, the first Highlander was amazing.
It was.
After that, they kind of jumped the shark a little bit, but
There was
The
one Highlander
cinematography-
movie.
The
What?
cinematography in the first Highlander was absolutely amazing.
oh yeah,
Well, and plus you had the greatest villain ever besides Darth Vader, which
Mr.
was Clancy
Krabs.
Brown.
Mr. Krabs.
Mr. Krabs, yes. Also the voice of Mr. Krabs, Clancy Brown. But who also played Rawhide
Yeah.
in Buckaroo
Buckaroo
Banzai
Banzai,
Across the
yeah.
Eighth Dimension.
Yep.
So he's been around for a while. Yeah, I'm with you, Hawk. I'm sad about Wheel of Time.
He was in. The one about the bugs.
Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
I'm
He
sorry,
was
I
one of the
can't
officers-
talk about that.
He was one of the
movie.
officers in Starship Troopers.
He
right?
was. He was actually one of the non-coms. That was so. If you've ever seen that movie, it sucked. However, it was based off of a novel by Robert Heinlein that is actually one of my favorite books of all time. Because it's written in the first person from the point of view of a soldier, and it was a brilliant treatise on politics and chain of command and the realities of being a soldier. And Paul Verhoeven looked at that book, if he even read it, and went, "Bugs! It's a movie about bugs," which it was not. So anyway, all right. Now I want to talk about shows that we're glad that they went away, or they're still around and they really need to freaking go. So give me your first take on that.
So I don't really know shows that I'm glad they went away. I mean, there's genres of shows I'm glad that went away, but there's definitely a genre of show that's still here that I wish would just go away.
Which is?
Pretty much any reality show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't need to watch shows about people just being petty and selfish.
Well, the first argument is, and
Plus,
this is someone
plus newsflash, they're all scripted.
they are.
Yeah.
They are definitely scripted. And so I like reality television is a misnomer because there's nothing real about that at all. They cast people who are desperate to have their 15 minutes, put them in these outrageous situations, and then basically ask them to behave as badly as they want.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this, my kids are addicted to some of these shows.
Well,
but they're addicted for different reasons.
Okay, I was going to say this is a difference in generations, because this is what makes things like Twitch popular. Like you and I go, we can't fathom just sitting and watching somebody do something for an hour and then giving them money to do it.
Right.
But that's completely normal to that generation. Right?
Absolutely.
They're more of the voyeur generation.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So Lego Masters is scripted?
Yeah, buddy.
Sorry, man.
Yeah. Hate to break it to you. Sorry.
So is every single episode of any Gordon Ramsay show ever.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you. Like if that entire genre disappeared tomorrow, it would not hurt my feelings in one way or at all. Also, any Law and Order show needs to go away. Because like look, I don't even think Dick Wolf is alive anymore. But his legacy lives on.
They just take any subject and make it a Law and Order show.
Yeah, you can literally
Law
like
and Order the bakery.
Yeah. Bum bum. When I lived in New York in 2000, often I lived out in Queens, but I'd always have to go into what they call the city, Manhattan, in order to do auditions or work or whatever. And it never failed that I would walk on a street where I now had to go a block over because they were shooting a Law and Order episode on that street.
Yeah.
Like, kid you not, I got trapped in the Sbarro pizza by that production one time.
Oh my gosh.
I was in between auditions. I was sitting there at Sbarro having lunch, having a slice, and all of a sudden this army of PAs comes in. They cone off everything. The camera truck rolls in, blah, blah, they're setting up. And I go to the exit, and the guy's like, "Oh, man, I'm sorry. Can you just hang out here for a while?" I'm like, "No.
I got things to do."
I have things to do. And by the way, so does everybody who's currently in here.
Right.
So and by the way, I'd worked enough in TV to go, "You're a PA. You have no authority whatsoever."
Yeah.
So I'm just leaving.
Yeah.
And as I was leaving, I literally bumped into the late, great Jerry Orbach, who was like on set to film his scene or whatever.
Right.
I was like, "Hey, Jerry." He goes, "Hey."
What up?
That was it. But then it was like Law and Order SVU, Law and Order this and that, Law and Order blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, look, man, we get it.
Law and Order Taxi Crimes.
I'd watch that show.
Same lines? CSI?
CSI.
Yeah,
every
also CSI. Every CSI. Yeah. So this is the problem of network television, is that there's nothing new under the sun. They are treating it not as an art, but as a business. They want to be assured of making a certain amount of dollars.
Yeah.
For their
CSI Toledo.
Yeah.
CSI Toledo. Yeah. CSI Appalachia. I might watch that one. I might watch CSI Appalachia.
Oh my gosh.
That would be kind
CSI Lubbock.
and well, CSI Appalachia, the theme song would be Steve Earle's Copperhead Road, like every week. Yeah, so that one just needs to freaking go away.
Yeah.
All of those need to go away. What's another one for you?
So my teenager is watching the show, and I didn't know this because I never watched it. It's called Riverdale.
Based on the Archie comic.
Yeah,
kind of.
I didn't realize it was based on the
Yeah,
characters
yeah.
are literally named Archie and Jughead and
Yeah.
Veronica.
Yep.
But didn't Riverdale spin off Veronica Mars?
Yes.
It did. Yeah. Okay. But anyway, it's so fun. We actually asked her to quit watching it because it's so just like depressing. Seriously.
Depressing?
Yeah. And she was like starting to get moody and stuff. We're like, maybe take a break from that show and see if that improves.
Well, first of all, teenagers are moody by nature.
They are, but they don't need TV's helping them.
Yes, they don't need encouragement to be moody. Yeah. Okay, Riverdale. I'm just going to say this. I might get some backlash for this, but listen. It's time for The Simpsons to go off the air.
I don't even watch them anymore. I can't be offended because I haven't watched them in years. It's like eventually it just gets old.
It does, because there's nothing new. Like, they're trying to be topical or whatever, but there's nothing new.
Yeah.
They just it's like those characters have run their course.
Yeah.
Now they're just trying to be the longest running series in TV history.
Yeah.
And look, I loved it. Like, I remember watching the shorts in the 80s when they were a part of the Tracy Ullman show.
Yeah, Tracy Ullman show, yep.
And then they got their own show, and all through the 90s I watched The Simpsons. I thought it was, first of all, starting from like seasons 3, it was whenever Conan O'Brien was exec producing the show.
Okay.
Some of the best writing
Yeah.
on television, bar none. The voice performances were great. It was during that time that I actually got to meet and have a conversation with Dan Castellaneta, Homer Simpson, and the voice of several others. And I just thought it was great, but it's gone on too long.
Yeah.
And look, be like Michael Jordan. Quit when you're on top.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that's, and you can hate on me, but maybe you shouldn't. Maybe Matt Groening should do something new. And he tried Futurama. Didn't really take.
Yeah.
Didn't really take.
I'll throw out. I'll throw out controversial Doctor Who.
They've kind of jumped the shark with that show.
They really did. Yeah. Well, I don't know that they so much jumped the shark as that when oh gosh, what's her name? The first female doctor. Damn it. I know her name. Anyway, I stopped watching Doctor Who about halfway through Peter Capaldi's run as the Doctor.
Yeah, I couldn't get into Peter Capaldi. I love Peter Capaldi as an actor, but I just couldn't get into him as the Doctor.
No, I was having a hard time relating to his take on the Doctor. Jodie Whittaker.
Yep.
And then they got Jodie Whittaker, and from that point on, so much of that show just felt like virtue signaling to me.
Yeah.
Like they were trying to apologize for all the other doctors who were white males.
Yeah.
And without getting too political here, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And then they jumped the shark even further because they got a black gay actor who's now a black gay Doctor Who. And look, nothing wrong with that, but if you're a longtime Who fan, there are certain things that you have come to understand and expect. And it was a little, and it wasn't even the fact that they got a black gay doctor. It was the fact that it felt so much like virtue signaling to me.
Yeah.
Like the morality lessons became a little too much. It's like, I don't need to be hit over the head with this shit. I know what it takes to be a good person.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And by the way, if there are any new people coming to this show, they're not getting the message. So
the doctor made a point of never killing anybody. And then in this last season, the new doctor took glee in killing people he didn't agree with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the podcast.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Larry didn't mean what he said. We're sorry.
No, I'm not sorry. Come at me, bro. Come at me.
I just want a sonic screwdriver. That's all I care about.
Right?
Yeah. And a TARDIS.
Now, have you... now, this doesn't matter to you, but it matters to you. Did you finish the most recent season?
I did.
And you saw the regeneration?
I did.
You hear the rejection in his voice.
So now we're gonna spoil it for you.
Turn it off now.
This last doctor who regenerated into the image of Rose, Billie Piper.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so that brings up a whole host of questions for people like me who loved the Christopher Eccleston / David Tennant / Matt Smith version, where Rose was maybe, in my opinion, the only partner that was better than Rose was Sarah Jane.
Okay.
And that was with the Seventh Doctor, played by Tom Baker, who actually came back.
Really?
She came back during the Tennant years.
Okay.
And there was a big, it was like all of the Doctor's previous traveling companions got together to help fight the Daleks. It was great.
Okay.
Including Captain Jack from Torchwood.
Yeah. You mean Plunger Arms?
Plunger Arms, yes. But my daughter has religiously watched Doctor Who from the time she was 13. And
well, I started watching in the 70s with Tom Baker.
With Tom Baker. That was my doctor as well. Yeah. That was my first doctor. And I got my daughter hooked on it, and she's watched them all. She kind of agrees with me. And by the way, I take some comfort because my daughter identifies as bisexual. And so she proudly identifies as queer. And even she said, Dad, the last two doctors, too much virtue signaling.
Yeah.
Too much. It was like, she's like, it was turning me off, but I kept sticking out. And then she called me and she goes, did you see the finale? No. And she goes, I'm sending you a clip right now. And of course, the regeneration takes place, and it's Rose Tyler.
Your daughter has a very deep voice.
Yeah, no, after she's been smoking pot a little bit, she tends to sound like that. But anyway, so now I'm intrigued. but I'm also cynical because I feel like the reason that happened is because they knew they'd lost some hardcore Whovians and they want to get them back.
Yep. And Rose was super popular.
Rose was super popular.
Yeah.
I loved her.
Yeah.
Dire Wolf.
Bad Wolf Bay.
Bad Wolf.
So, yeah, Dire Wolf is Game of Thrones, buddy.
Yeah. Wolves are wolves.
No, they're not.
You okay? Do you need some water or something?
No, I'm fine. I've just I've got the dry mouth because I've been talking so much. All right. I said any Law and Order show. You said
Any reality show.
any reality show. I said The Simpsons. What's yours next?
That's should go or has
Go away.
or has gone, and I'm glad.
Or has gone. Thank God it's gone.
Um,
I'm so glad that you studied up for tonight's episode.
well, no, the thing is there's so many. I mean, okay, you should know that when you ask me questions like this, where I have to narrow things down, it's not something I do in a week. It's like it takes months of concentration for me to do that.
Do we have months, Brent? I don't know.
Look,
I don't know if I'm going to be alive tomorrow. We got to get this done.
I think I covered most of it when I said any reality show because there's plenty of those out there. So technically, I've done my 3.
No, you have not. But I will name one. And this is hard for me because when this show came out in the 90s, I was a huge fan. I was an early adopter. We had watch parties, me and my buddy, and yours too, Scooter McFadden. Mm-hmm. We used to get together to watch South Park.
Yeah.
And we loved this show.
Oh, yeah, I did too.
And now
Simpsons did it.
It's time to go.
Well, they've kind of gone. I mean, they're not really producing much
They
anymore.
are still producing new episodes.
I know, but it's very sporadic.
You're talking about the specials on Paramount. They're still producing new shows.
On which network?
On Comedy Central.
Oh.
Yeah, I looked it up. I checked it. They're still in production. Now, I understand why they're still on the air, and why they're still on the air is not a question of popularity. It is a question of price. It is one of the cheapest shows on television to produce, and they can produce it in a week.
Yeah.
They can. In fact, they did a documentary special, which is on Max, I think.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Called 5 Days to Air or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's literally the process of them from scratch writing and producing a new episode of South Park within 7 days.
Yeah. Well, some days faster. Like there was one they cranked out. What was his name? Elian Gonzalez, the kid in Cuba that was the refugee.
We was in Miami.
Yeah, they well, he's from Cuba.
Yeah.
But they cranked that show out like in 3 days or something. Yeah.
What about Lost? Shows that should have ended.
Yeah. So that's a typical J.J. Abrams thing.
Yep.
I mean, when he makes TV shows, so you know that whenever J.J. Abrams makes... Okay, so another great example, Alias, right?
Jennifer Garner.
It's like the first 3 seasons, great.
Yep.
Season 4 hits, you're like, what the heck is going on?
What is going on?
And same thing happened with Lost.
Yep.
And they just didn't end it fast enough.
They didn't end
Matter
it
of fact,
fast enough.
I love how they just took the out. Oh, they were all dead already.
Yeah. Yeah. Which was a huge disappointment for those loyalists like us who had stuck with them the whole time.
But then Abrams puts out Fringe, which is a great show.
Yeah. They didn't get enough, actually.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird, yeah.
That's a show I would have liked to see
Again,
go
though,
on.
it was on Fox, so probably Fox killed it for some reason.
Yeah.
Stupid Fox.
But I will say though the difference between the difference there is that with Fringe they wrapped it up.
yeah.
They did.
They tied it off. So like I at least left that with some satisfaction. Whereas with Lost, by the end I'm like, seriously, they're all dead already.
Yeah.
That was what you went with.
They didn't answer any question.
Yeah, I've invested all this time, and that's
right,
your answer.
right here, buddy. Right here. Like no, that's just unacceptable. Like you can get away with that in TV today. I don't think.
I mean, they kind of do. I mean, this may be unpopular, but I kind of feel that's what happened with Andor, because they time jumped that last. I mean, it was amazing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining about the series, but they tied it off super fast. Like we only got the 2 seasons, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe that was enough. I don't know. But the time jumps. So they released 3 episodes at a time. And every 3 episodes, they had time jumped several years, and they're getting closer to that. I mean, the very last scene of the last episode is them flying to meet the guy in the in the scene in Rogue One. Right?
Yeah. But I still feel like it worked.
No, it worked. Don't get me wrong, it worked. But obviously, there's all this in between story that could have been told, right? So for whatever reason, we got the 2 seasons, and I'm not complaining. Those are amazing 2 seasons. But I also at the same time kind of feel like there was a whole lot more story. I mean, because the writing was so good, you just craved it. I mean, the 3 episodes dropped, you're like, whatever I'm doing, I'm stopping it.
Yeah, we did. In fact, we did do that.
Yeah.
We stopped what we were doing. It's like, can't talk, Andor's on.
Yeah. But, I feel like also there was so much more story. I mean, all those in-between time jumps, there's so much more story there that could have been explored.
So I kind of wonder if the producers of Andor... Because here's what I feel like. Like, number one, they're beholden to the overlords at Disney.
Right.
Maybe Disney goes, 2 seasons, we're done. People are going to lose interest. Except for the whole part where they did not.
Yeah.
And so now they've tied it off. And now they're like, is there a way for us to bring Andor back?
Yeah.
We'll just call it Andor The Lost Years.
Yeah.
You know? Which, honestly, is something Disney might do.
Well, but seriously, I mean, I totally get that because you're right. The reality is that the TV viewing attention span is so short.
Oh my
now,
God!
Right? Like, remember when we used to have seasons that were like 22 episodes?
Yes.
And now we're lucky if we get 10 of something.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny that you say that. I'm going to brag on my daughter here a little bit because she just graduated from Pace University with a degree in film and television studies, and her thesis that she had to deliver. Which I get to see it live on Zoom, was her and her writing partner basically had to pitch a TV series.
Right.
And what they did was right off the bat, they said, we want to bring back the 22 episode season of a situational comedy, and here's how we're going to do it. And they came up with a very autobiographical, it's 2 girls who are from different places who are going to university in the city of New York, and they're having to navigate school and adulthood and the biggest city in the world where they've never been before. And, wackiness and endearment ensues, right? Mm-hmm. So they've literally written a 22 episode season arc. And they pitched it, and I watched the pitch, and I was like, I would watch that show.
Yeah.
I would watch that show. Not just because she's my daughter. So she's now got a job and is living in the city and is still pursuing her job or her desire to be a writer. And I'm like, pitch that show.
Yeah.
I would love to see that come back.
Yeah.
Now, the argument they're up against is exactly what you said, that attention spans have greatly shortened, right? I maintain if the writing's good, you can go further.
Yeah.
If the writing's good, you will have a loyal fan base, and you will become what they call in the industry appointment viewing. Mm-hmm. That is, I will be there at 9 o'clock on a Tuesday when the next episode drops on whatever streaming service it's on, and I'm going to watch that show when it comes out.
Well, I think part of the reason for that is because, the streaming services kind of killed that because they would do things like, you remember when streaming services first started, like they would drop the entire season at once.
Yep.
And you would binge 8 hours of something.
Absolutely.
Right? And then they got smart and they're like, oh, let's go back to episodic again.
The old TV model.
Yeah, and let's do it. But you still only got the 8 to 10 episodes, but now you had to wait, right?
And so, that is my biggest gripe with original series on streaming platforms. We get a shortened season, and then we have to wait
5 years,
however long it is. Yeah. I mean, a classic example would be
Stranger Things,
yeah. Which by the time it actually airs, I think will be 5 years.
Yeah,
like come on, man.
Yeah,
come on.
They're all in their 30s now, trying to.
I know, right? Yeah. Trying to play. Well, I'm sure for the last season there's going to be a significant time jump.
Yeah.
So because the town was in flames the last time we saw it.
As long as David Harbour's in it, I'm good.
Literally, and if he goes, Elena, it's your dad.
That's what I talk about.
Yeah,
don't go to vault.
If he throws in a little Alexei Shostakov, I'll be all over it. I'll be so happy.
Here you guys go. Bonus category. Shows that shouldn't have a first season. Controversial. Harry Potter.
It's not even out yet, dude.
I know.
Man.
That's
it's
my
not
point.
even out yet.
That's my point.
You don't know.
Shouldn't have a first season.
You don't know.
You don't know.
Wait
till it comes out and we'll see. I'm not saying it's going to be good.
I will agree to converse on that category But you got to come up with something that's actually out there in the world.
Let me tell you something though. So the movies were great, but anyone who's read the books knows how much was left out of the books.
Yes,
like
agreed.
Essential parts of the story, right?
Yes.
And stuff that was, because again, different medium, you got to tell, that kind of stuff. But so what HBO is attempting to do with this is, one season per book, right? So we'll see how that works. I mean, maybe it'll be good. Maybe it lasts a season or two and that's it. But we'll see. But I'm actually just curious to see how they play that out. So casting aside, everybody's unhappy with some of the casting.
I agree. I agree. If I'm gonna say a show that never should have gotten a first season, Police Squad. I mean,
the movies were enough.
The movies were more than enough.
Yeah. Oh, but they're remaking, by the way.
I know, with
gosh.
freaking Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Breaks my heart. I'm like, are you really having that hard? Like, how badly have you squandered your fortune, dude?
I just think he's at that point in his career where he can just do whatever he wants.
I do believe you're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's based off Police Squad.
Yeah. So it is the Naked Gun, though. He plays Leslie Nielsen's son, and I did love the trailer. Have you seen the trailer yet?
Where they're all staring at the pictures.
Yes.
Of their dads.
And the one African American cop is staring at his dad, which was O.J. Simpson. He goes, no. I'm not going to say I wish I were like you. No, I'm not doing that. Yeah. So yeah, and there were a lot of TV shows in the 80s that only got one season that never should have gotten the green light. Like, remember Automan?
Yes.
Okay, right?
Yes.
We watched it because we're like, sci-fi, Tron-like.
Tron, yeah.
So bad. Yep. So bad.
Oh, it was yeah.
Yeah,
bad.
like I felt bad watching it.
There's another one. It came out in the 90s. It's called either like Black Scorpion or Scorpion or something like that. But it's this concept. It's this woman police officer, detective or something that becomes her alter ego is a scorpion character. And it's one of those shows where she just wears this skimpy get up, and that's the whole thing. It's the sex appeal, right? And the writing is horrible. Everything about it is 100% horrible. And somehow it lasted like 2 seasons or something.
I think about this often, which is, who was in the room that said yes to that project?
Well, you have to think, though. I mean, so TV goes through cycles, right? Like everything else. Mm-hmm. And when certain shows start to become popular, you start having these knockoffs come out.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Like crazy, right? And so it doesn't even matter because it's one of those things where, so people get accustomed to things. So again, if I go back to the thing about the attention span, like we used to watch episodic TV and it was 22 episodes, like Friends, we had to wait, and we'd have to wait every week in anticipation for that, 22 minutes of show or whatever. And so then streaming comes out and changes that viewing habit, and they shorten things down. And so now we are conditioned to a shortened attention span, right? So along those same lines, you have these TV shows that do really good, and so you have all these knockoffs that come out, and people get conditioned to that. Right? And so that's what the studios are knocking out, and they're crappy shows, but they're cheap to make, and they can get them on TV, right?
Yep.
And then so the expectation of the general public, I think, becomes low enough that they're more accepting of these crappy shows after a while.
You may be right. Now, I will say that a significant exception to that rule right now, in terms of people who are writing television, is a guy who lives in Texas named Taylor Sheridan.
Yeah. Yep.
So Taylor rose to prominence because of Yellowstone and its subsequent spinoffs.
Okay, but again, those are on streaming services.
They are on streaming services. However, he got his start as an actor on Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
And the way he tells the story is that, but when he was on Sons of Anarchy, he was already in his 40s. He plays a deputy sheriff who gets killed off in the 2nd or 3rd season. And people said to him, "You're never going to get higher than bit parts. You're always going to be a recurring role or a day player. You're never going to be a main player." And he was looking around at the television that was out there, and he was like, "I think I can do better." Yeah. So it took him a while, but eventually he sold. Well, no, first of all, I think the first movie script he ever sold was Sicario. Have you ever seen that film?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's a great film.
Yep.
Emily Blunt,
Yep.
Josh Brolin, great film. Directed by Denis Villeneuve, who went on to do Dune 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So like he had some clout already, and then he did Yellowstone. He did the spinoffs. He's done The Lioness,
Yep.
which if you've not seen that,
I have seen that.
It's a great show.
That's a great show. Yeah.
Landman with Billy Bob Thornton
Yep.
and Ali Larter.
Yep.
Great show.
Yep.
Again, it's about the characters. It's about the people and the story.
Didn't Landman just get canceled though? Or am I thinking of something else? Oh no, Repo. No, the one with Kevin Bacon.
Oh,
Repo Man.
Well, but it's sort of a supernatural kind of thing.
It's like
Bondsman.
The Bondsman.
Bondsman,
Thank you.
yeah.
Bondsman. Yeah.
Yeah, I never watched it.
Yeah.
Did
I
you?
got through a few episodes of it.
But just a few. Like
Yeah.
you did, it didn't captivate you enough to want to watch the
Not
whole
really.
thing. Yeah. So
we loved Landman. Billy Bob Thornton is legitimately my second cousin, and so we kind of watch everything with him in it.
love him.
We loved it. It was kind of funny to watch interviews with him about the Landman, where he's playing a rough and tumble Texas oil man, and he's doing the interviews. He's got the long earring, the long hair.
Well, he wears that sort of like serape around his head and a hat.
Yeah.
Like
Dude, we probably need to talk about the second third of this guitar.
Oh, yeah.
Of
I
this
said it again.
guitar? Yeah.
I did it again.
Yeah. Hang on, you guys. I got to do a thing right now. Hey, I'm trying to explain it to MC, but I don't have an oral. Do you still have a cannabis sketch? Hang on. I have to send a text to my daughter. I'm in the middle of recording a podcast episode, period. I will call you later, period. Sorry. She was asking about something that she and I wrote years ago during COVID. This is completely off topic, but I am going to tell the story because it's a good one. So during COVID, I have a friend who's a producer in San Antonio, and she just happened to be producing Willie Nelson's 420 concert, except it was COVID, so they had to do it remotely, right? So they've lined up all these musical acts across the country, but then in between the musical acts, and it's streaming live, by the way. So in between the musical acts, they have to have interstitial entertainment, which is like in between stuff like that we need to entertain the people while we're getting ready to go to this next location and have this concert. So she goes, you have any ideas? So the idea that I came up with was, what if we did a Schoolhouse Rock type animation with an original song that would explain to people where weed was legal and where it was not? And we would do it Schoolhouse Rock style. And I called the song that I wrote the Cannabis, because the animation would start with two stoners in a park in Austin, and it's all black and white, going, man, if only I knew where weed was legal and where it wasn't. And then this very colorful minivan shows up with this colorful character who turns everything into color. And he's like, come along with me and I will show you. And so my daughter and I wrote a song called The Cannabis, and I will make it available on the website. And everyone, I sent the demo to the producers, and they loved it. They absolutely loved it. They were like, we're already contacting some animation houses. We're going to see how fast we can get this done. But we love the concept, and we'll have you come in and record it. It was Willie Nelson's manager who kiboshed the whole thing.
Really?
He goes, we don't think this is in keeping with Willie's image. And I was like,
Do you not know?
Are you serious
do you
right
know
now?
Willie Nelson?
Yeah.
At all?
Have you met him? So, because even I got a direct message from Willie's wife, who was like, this is endearing and fun and informative. I love it. I think Willie's going to love it. And I was like, well, we're in, right? And then the whole thing got kiboshed. But I still have it on my phone.
Yeah.
And I will
I think
send
you
that
played
to
it for
Brent.
us,
I have
actually.
played it for you.
Yeah.
But that was a sad moment for me. But anyway, that has nothing to do with the fact that my daughter just was texting me about that. So we'll move on
Yeah.
now.
Second, third. Look,
Second, third.
I didn't put it down, and now look what's happened.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. I'm getting a lot more toast now. That mouthfeel is really comfortable.
Yeah, I'm getting the pepper back.
Are you really?
Well, but of course I'm closer to the fire than you are. But the pepper's coming back on the retro hell at least. But definitely, I mean, tons of toast.
I'm just getting like, it's almost, it's just toasty goodness and like little bit of little bit of sweet, but not bad sweet. Like cup of coffee with a little bit of creamer in it.
Yeah. Now I want some coffee. Why'd you do that?
Now, Jamond also makes one of these with a Maduro wrapper, and I might have to purchase that on my way out the door.
Yeah, I would like to try that actually.
Because that sounds pretty good.
I'll tell you what.
So honorable mention
Yes,
shows you miss, right? Which is, for me, I miss The Wire.
Oh, David Chase.
Never watched it.
Oh, dude. Watch it.
The Wire is my Firefly. Larry.
Watch it. Yeah, okay, fair. That's fair. No, it's a great show. Gritty Streets of Baltimore, just can't. First episode on, cannot take your eyes off of it.
I've heard nothing but good things about it, but I just never watched it.
So David Chase began his career as a journalist at the Baltimore Sun. Mm-hmm. And then he wrote a book based on his experiences as a reporter in Baltimore. So he was on the crime beat. And he wrote a book called Homicide: Life in the Street, which was later turned into a television series.
Yep.
And that's how David Chase got into TV.
Yeah.
And I mean, he produced Anthony Bourdain's show for a while. Wow. He's done everything but The Wire. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go home and watch Firefly, and you go home and watch The Wire.
It's been on my list for a while.
Yeah, it's a great show. That is one that I think should keep going. Let's see. Yeah, we've hit all of them, man.
I tell you what, I think it's time maybe for some.
Is it time for a little segment that we like to call Hit It?
It's the greatest joke in the world.
This is a part of the program that we call the greatest joke in the world. They're not really, but still humorous. We're going to tell, Brent and I are going to tell back and forth 3 dad jokes, and the whole point is just to get each other to laugh. Now, we used to be super competitive about this and not laugh because we had a consequence that if you laughed, you had to do a shot of some really awful whiskey. But then we actually started telling each other jokes that made us laugh, and it got ugly really quick.
Yeah.
So we decided to take the punishment out and just enjoy the jokes for what they are. So you want to start?
Sure.
Okay.
What country's capital is growing the fastest?
What?
Ireland. Every day it's Dublin.
That was actually pretty good. Every day it's Dublin. Yeah. I get it.
Chris laughed.
I went to the doctor's office and he told me, look, you've got to stop touching yourself. And I said, why? And he goes, because you're in a doctor's office and it's disgusting.
I've actually heard that joke. But once again, I would just like to point out all of Larry's jokes.
Oh, yeah.
Have something to do with body parts or something.
Not all of them, but most of them.
99% of them. Well, once I had a dream that I was floating on an ocean of orange soda.
Okay.
I guess it was more of a fantasy.
Fantasy. If you've never had, so millennials, you don't know what Fanta is. That's fine. It's a soda.
It's an orange soda.
Yeah.
They do have other flavors. But
they do.
But
let's face it, Fanta means orange.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the new Disney movie where Bambi, Simba, and Dumbo take the same high school English class? It's called Dead Parent Society.
Oh, my gosh. That is the thing about Disney movies, though. A lot of parents die.
A parent's got to die. Yeah. Starring Robin Williams.
Okay. Well, once in college, I worked at a canned juice factory, but I got fired. They said I couldn't concentrate.
Nice. Before my before my dad died, he requested that we press his ashes into a record. It was his vinyl request.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know. It was bad. It was bad. Just go ahead and hit the stinger on that one. There we go. We're done.
It's the greatest joke in the world.
I think I need to change that to say It's really not the greatest joke in the world.
I think we need to bring the consequence back, honestly. I know it's bad for us, but I think the audience would love it. Hey, if you want to see us try not to laugh and then laugh and have to do a shot of bad whiskey, hit us up in the comments section on our YouTube channel or drop us a line at nerdherfers.com, because quite frankly, I feel like we need to bring back the consequence.
Really?
Because I think, again, this goes to the whole voyeur television thing. I think people want to see us suffer.
Yeah, but people that watch our show aren't of that generation.
I still think they want to see us suffer.
At least our demographics are saying that.
I still think they want to see us suffer.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always fun to watch.
And I'm willing to take the hit
Are you?
for more viewership.
Okay.
So
All right.
let's just do it.
Hey guys,
All right.
So that's
I
your
invented
price.
a new word:
Oh yeah.
plagiarism.
Hang on.
That's the joke.
I know. I get it. But will you please install the sound of crickets immediately after that joke? Not just crickets, but crickets,
long crickets.
But no,
like crickets
but,
dying.
But crickets, no, crickets packing up tiny suitcases and hailing a taxi cab to get out of town. Yeah, that's what I would like.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was bad.
That was so bad. Yeah, I invented a new word. I get it. I get it.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, listen, guys. We've had a good time tonight here at Industrial Cigar Company in Frisco, Texas, and we hope you've enjoyed the show that we talked about 3 television shows, actually more than 3,
Yeah,
a lot more than 3, that we wish were still on the air, and then shows that we're glad they're gone or they need to be gone. Hashtag The Simpsons, hashtag South Park. Love you guys, mean it, but it's time to call it a day. Hey, hit us up in the comments section on our YouTube channel. We don't have enough trolls, if I'm being honest.
We need more trolls.
I feel like if we got more haters, that we would get more people watching
We love trolls.
the podcast or listening to the podcast. So, I got one fairly recently that just, on my dad joke, that just said not funny, even though I made everyone laugh. And do you want to tell people what your troll said about you?
Well, we said it before.
Say it again.
When I had purple hair.
Yeah.
You look like you touched children.
That was great.
I laughed so hard.
I did too.
Yeah.
But we haven't heard from that dude since.
Yeah.
And I just assume it's a dude because
Yeah, you never know.
most trolls are dudes. But whatever. Come on, trolls. Come at us. We would love for you to too, because we're Gen X and we don't give a shit. Am I right?
It's our energy. We feed off of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's my coffee. Your hatred is my coffee.
Yep.
It gets me up in the morning.
Use your anger.
It gets me through the day. I'm on the dark side. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. I'm Larry Brantley. That's Brent Williams.
Keep your shirt on.
And thank you so much to our producer, Chris Hockenberry.
Farewell.
We will see. Farewell. That's a really good one, buddy.
Farewell.
That's almost as good as
Plagiarism.
plagiarism. Yeah. You guys take care of yourself. We will talk to you next time. What are we going to talk about next week? I don't know, because
Who
we
knows?
haven't talked about it yet.
We don't plan that far
But
ahead.
listen, Granddad, congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
And we are just going to move on from here. Everybody send Baby Winnie welcome to the world comment. That would be nice. We will talk to you next week. Bye-bye. This has been a production of Nerdherfers. Copyright 2025, all rights reserved. No portion of this broadcast may be used without permission. Please visit nerdherfers.com for more information and full legal disclaimer. You